This episode of the SHL podcast is brought to you by the Big Chili magazine, where in this issue there's an article about Andy Lazenby, who made his first visit to Bangkok almost 60 years ago, and he decided to go back to his mother's family farm, and he talks about it in the article titled Erie Revisited.
Welcome to the SHL News. I'm Zack Block. Today we're joined by...
Me. Hello. My name's Lance Parker. I come from Canada, and I'm a goalkeeper in the SHL League. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Lance. And
You're
I heard you had a bit of an injury scare. Hopefully you're okay.
Yeah, it's very funny to me because I watch the podcast and the broadcast because I love the SHL so much. And it's funny because I heard you say, Ben's didn't play the last game because of COVID, and then Lance because of an injury. But in fact, I actually had COVID.
Oh, it was
Not
you.
only did you say that, but even John too. The same tone too.
Okay.
Ben's got COVID and Lance has an injury. And I'm like, no, actually I got COVID. I could be playing, but I did get injured, in fact. That is true. What did you hear?
I heard you got slashed by a skate accidentally, but thankfully that it wasn't serious.
Yeah, I was very fortunate because it was just right under the chin. I didn't even see it, in fact, when it happened because of the angle. And I felt it, but I didn't realize how deep it was. And yeah, so it happened in the game at the last minute of the game. And I think what the other team was doing was running the net because they scored a goal moments before by running into me, knocking me over. And so, it worked once. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they did it again. And the guy's feet accidentally came up when he ran into me. And it's also my ignorance, too, for not having my helmet strapped on tight enough. And then my neck guard was lower than it could have been. And then my dangler was actually broken by a Harrison in the previous season, where Harrison took a wicked slap shot and cracked my dangler in a game. But anyway, so I was very fortunate. I still have my voice. Hey there. Hey now. I didn't get it on the vocal cords. It wasn't on the aorta. I didn't quite get Malarchuk.
I was going to say, it's not like Malarchuk in Buffalo all those years ago.
That's a cursed rink. But anyway, yeah, I'm fine. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for bringing that up. I was kind of caught off guard. But yeah, true story. Yeah, the elephant in the room, perhaps.
Glad you're okay.
Thank you.
And more doing so, he covered for me. I was sick last Sunday for the games, and Lance did, I think, a great job as a color commentator.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very fun working there with Adam. He's got, I think, over 10 years experience working with Fox and CBS, I believe. But you could just hear it in his voice and his notes, his preparation. That guy was on the ball. So, yeah, it was really fun. Have you had a chance to work with him yet?
No, we've always been off for whatever reason. So I'm looking forward to working with him in the future.
Yeah, it was a real treat. Adam, I hope you had fun too.
Okay. In our first game of the evening, we had SiamMandalay going against the Lexicon Lumberjacks. Going into this game, Siam was winless. And personally speaking, I was looking for them to try and score first, try and sustain that pressure and not have to play from behind. And they were actually able to do that. In first goings of the game, felt like both sides were kind of filling each other out, a little bit of pressure on both teams, good team defense overall. But eventually, CJ Gamble was able to break through, assisted by not Paul Stasny, that's his dad.
Assisted by his cousin, I think.
His cousin.
I think his father is Anton. But yeah.
Assisted by Tom Stasny and Mike Friesen.
Yes. They were, I believe SiamMandalay came on quite strong right out of the gates. They were so hungry to get that monkey off their back. And they tested Ben early. And I think what happened with that setup, it was set up from what you always make notice from behind the net. So it was passed from behind the net. I think Friesen was in the office, and he passed it out to Stasny in front, and Stasny had the shot. And so Ben made the first save. He had it. But CJ was just waiting on that corner, and he just popped it in to get the first goal of the game.
Yeah. About halfway through the first period. And it continued to be a pretty tight affair. I think both goaltenders played well. I think both teams had a fair number of chances, a couple of odd man rushes, a little bit of sustained pressure. But credit overall to the team defenses and the goaltenders to keep the rest of the period scoreless.
Sure. Yeah, that period it was a very low scoring affair, but it sure ramped up the next couple of periods.
Sure. Getting into the second period, SiamMandalay extended their lead to 2-0. This time, Friesen, the captain, with the goal, assisted this time by number 5, Ed McConnell, and 33, Adam Simpson. Simpson, I had heard his name all night on the broadcast. He was really flying around.
Simpson was on the D line, and he's got a really nice move where he can come in. He'll just break and streak, and he didn't quite get a goal, but that was his highlight of the night, where he almost scored. But that goal that you were referring to just moments ago, I think with Friesen finishing that off, that was those two were breaking in. Ed and Mike, Ed McConnell, Mike Friesen were coming down, and they had one D-man to contend with, and the goalkeeper as well, and they just kind of passed it back and forth. Touch and go, and finally Eddie passed it off to Mike, who was skating perfectly down the lane, just far enough where Ben couldn't reach. Ben's a big boy, and he covers his positions well, but Mike, Johnny on the spot, popped that puck in over Ben's glove as he stretched out to try to stop it, and they went up 2-0 on that.
Yeah, Mike truly a goal scorer. Remember the 2-on-1 breakaway they had, and he just had a great shot over the outstretched glove of Ben. Couldn't really do much on that play. But give credit to Lexicon, almost immediately scoring less than a minute later to get back into the game, cut the deficit 2-1.
Less than a minute later, oh my goodness, it was, real time, less than a minute later, I guess on the clock. But after Mike scored that goal, they went to center ice for the face-off. And Lexicon won the face-off. And right off the draw, passed it back to the D, and then 1, 2, 3 passes, and right in the net. So it was an immediate response, game time. But it's a running time clock.
Yeah.
But they wasted no time at all responding. And who got that goal?
Adam Williams, assisted by Mark Vatsis and Ken Kinborn.
Oh, okay. It was Adam. Nice. Yeah. Because, he just had all that time and space in front of the net, and I couldn't quite recognize who he was with the numbers and no names on the back, and Adam's still a new player for me in the SHL, but that was a great goal.
And continued to be a very tight affair throughout the rest of the second period, both teams kind of trading some chances, but again, the goaltenders and the team defense doing really well until a bit of a backbreaker the final 2 minutes of the period. SiamMandalay gave up a goal. This time, Lexicon had the score from number 11, Pan Hung Swati. You guys were saying his name all night, really flying around Pan.
Oh, yeah. I think that goal, I'm trying to remember now. Let me see.
Assisted by Roger and Peem.
Right. I think that was there was a lot of traffic in front of the net of both teams. Dream didn't really have a very good view, I believe. If you look at the replay, it's just full of people in front of the net. And I think it hit something. It might have hit Dream. It might have hit one of the players. And then in the chaos and confusion, the puck was popped in the net. They added another goal to the score, which makes it,
2-2.
2-2.
So it was 2-2 going into the third period, a tight game, and like I talked about, who was going to score early, who was going to have momentum. At this point, though, it felt like Lexicon had all the momentum, and they really rode that in the third period. Once again,
go ahead, yeah, please.
Once again, both teams kind of feeling each other out, but eventually there was a breakthrough. Lexicon just really had consistent, sustained offensive pressure in this game from a variety of different sources. This time it was Kim Arola scoring, this time assisted again by Mark Vatsis.
Oh, yes. Kim's goal. Dream, I don't know if you remember, but he was making a ton of glove saves. All those goals that they scored on to him right up until this point were not on the glove side, because every time they went for that glove, Dream either held on to it or got a little piece of it. I think 95% of the time he held on to it in that glove. And I thought they're never, ever going to beat him on that glove side. But Kim came in, and he just kind of pulled the puck in, I think got Dream off center, and then rifled it to the side of the net. Arola, what a beautiful goal that was. I'm glad he's on my team.
Playing for the Thai national team, he's definitely a fun player to watch. And Lexicon didn't let up. They just really continued to have sustained pressure. Fourth goal coming this time at the 9:55 minute mark by number 44, Peem. and assisted by number 55, Roger Promtong.
Okay. I'm trying to remember this goal now. Oh, yes. All right. Yeah, the young Thai line. Yeah, I think it was just Dream had this initial stop, and then I think it was popped in on the rebound. Is Peem, you said, put that in?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think, it was a good goal for me. Like, some people say, like, oh, garbage goals, but, I mean, they're all good to me. Or they're all garbage, one way or the other. But that was, it wasn't a goal scorer's goal. It was just picking up a rebound and popping it in. But, it was a very good goal.
And that continued my theme, like I talked about, of just Lexicon having sustained a variety of scoring. And to finish it off, fifth goal from the fifth goal scorer, this time it was Ken Kinborn. He rifled a shot off of a face-off win by Kim Arola.
Yeah, that goal, Ken, too, he just at the top of the circle, he had the puck and he had so much time, so he just kind of skated to the side while holding the puck and looking. And as soon as he saw that open corner, or that open spot on the net, he just rifled it right into the net. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Siam tried to come back a little bit. Friesen had the chance at a breakaway. Unfortunately for him, it was called off sides, and they just really couldn't do enough in the final moments of the game to get back into it. So I really want to give SiamMandalay credit. I think this is one of the best games they played all year. Just unfortunately for them, they were unable to sustain that momentum and that pressure. And just give a ton of credit to Lexicon, undefeated. Such balance. There's 5 different players who scored in this game, and I didn't even mention Justin St. Denis. He actually had an off night. He's been a point per game kind of a player, and he didn't score, though he did have a nice contribution as the captain, kind of controlling the play when he was on the ice. But you just look at the score sheet, 38 shots on goal. Dream had a quality night in goal, but he just couldn't quite keep up the defense facing such an offensive onslaught.
Okay, yeah. So Justin St. Denis, you said, so he was held off the score sheet altogether.
Correct.
Okay, so I understand he's almost hit 100 points, or
I think he is number 2 in SHL historical scoring behind Harrison, and I think he's right around 100 as well as Harrison.
He's just too shy of 100, so I think he might be sitting at 98. So perhaps next game we'll have that milestone. Maybe next game too he'll have a Lumberjacks jersey.
We were told November, and it still is November, so you never know.
Sorry, before we wrap up this game, I just want to say, too, about the Lumberjacks. How many shots did they get on that?
38.
38 shots. So Dream was quite busy that night, and I thought he made a lot of great saves, but the amount of pressure that the Lumberjacks put on him, it was difficult to stop them all. And it was very unfortunate for SiamMandalay to go. Is it 4-0 now, I believe?
0-4, you mean?
Thank you. 0-4.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, like I said, they had, in my opinion, their best game of the season. Maybe outside of the opening night where that was a close game, but they also lost at the end. But the 2 stories are, number one, they're not getting enough offensive pressure themselves. Only 21 shots on goal, so an average of only 7 a period, versus giving up 38. And Dream playing as well as he did, couldn't save everything. So
and what a reversal too compared to the previous season that we played with the core group of guys on both squads, where I think Mike Friesen's group the previous season, they were just dominating. Very difficult to beat. They were the king of the hill, where Justin's squad was on the opposite end, where they couldn't even buy a win.
Different team, different players, So,
but I mean, it's the same core, of course. I mean, it's a different ice rink too. It's a different season. It's
yes
a different
and no.
year, so.
I understand.
But
what
I'm
you're
just
saying.
trying to say it's a reversal.
For me, I think you some of it's correct. You've got Stasny again as well as Friesen, but the problem is
Ralph.
Stasny's playing.
You've got
on
Scott Murray
defense. Scott hasn't really played that much. You used to have Ben and you as the goaltenders. Now he's got neither of you guys.
Yeah,
in the net. He had Ken Kinborn, he had Mankwang Sukwiban, and both those guys are now missing. That's, for me, the biggest thing for SiamMandalay is they don't really have a full roster of true defensemen that they can rely on. And so it still feels like Friesen is trying to mix and match. He's been playing Stasny on defense.
I miss Yeen, speaking of...
Yeen's another big one.
Oh, goodness, literally. But, sorry, I'm getting carried away here. What's next?
Well, we want to say, first of all, keep it up for SiamMandalay. Looking forward, I think take the positives. You played well. Continue to try and support Dream. Maybe he goes to Igor, because we haven't seen Igor, I don't believe, have a start yet, or maybe he's had one start. But just try and continue the chip away, and eventually they're going to get the win. And for Lexicon, conversely, just keep pounding. I mean, such balanced scoring up and down the lineup. This is Justin seems to be pushing all the right buttons. And Ken Kinborn with the player of the game. Dom's got that interview.
I'm here with the Get Fresh player of the game, Ken Kinborn. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good games, close through the whole game?
Yeah, pretty tight all game, same as last game against them. So I think every game is tight, and then you just need to score more than the other team.
You guys had a lot of shots in the beginning, but you just weren't putting them away. What was going on?
No, but they have a good goalie, Dream, so you just need to keep shooting, and then eventually, hopefully, the puck's going to go in.
Excellent. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And in our nightcap, we had KCG going against Team Aware. Personally, I like to watch these two teams face off against each other because there's a storyline. You've got captains Jesse Starosta and Harrison Ostermel going against each other after having been teammates and friends for so long. They're finally split up.
Well, they're still friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. As far as I understand.
But they're facing each other. And so what did you think about going into this game?
I was expecting a lot more fireworks from both sides, not just a one-sided domination of goals. But unfortunately, Harrison drafted such a great team, but they're missing, unfortunately, some of his guys that he was relying on to put a lot of pucks in the net.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's gotten bit by the injury bug a little bit, and some guys were, I think, away this week. I don't think he had Roman Laren, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, there's no Roman.
So.
Oh, wait, no, Roman's on Jesse's team. He's not on Harrison's team. Even though there's somebody wearing Roman's jersey during that game.
Regardless, everybody's going through some people missing, and it was just the KCG show. Was a little bit of feeling each team out, a little bit of back and forth, but a beautiful individual effort from Jan Isaacson opened the scoring for KCG at the 12:23 mark.
Oh, yeah.
Deked around the defender, pulled James out of position, and snuck it home.
Yes, when he came in and he let that shot go, he had the stick pointed towards the open net and his leg pointed in the opposite direction while balancing on the other leg. It was such a goal scorer's goal. Again, I said that earlier in the broadcast, but that was a thing of beauty. I think one of the prettiest goals I saw that night. But there's a ton of them. I don't know. I can't remember right now
we'll
what
get
other
through
goals
them.
there were, but that one was an absolute beauty.
Jan Isaacson, this is such a talented skater, and he's got beautiful hands to go with it. So it really is an offensive player, and is always a threat to score whenever he's on the ice. KCG just really rode, in my opinion, his momentum from that early goal through the whole game. Jesse Starosta on the second line didn't let up. He won a face-off, and Nick Lamson did a nice little skating play. James was able to make the initial save on Lamson's shot, but Jesse followed up on the rebound and got the second goal for KCG.
Yeah. Jesse was there, right on the doorstep, just looking for exactly what he had found, and it was the puck and an open net, and he wasted no time at all putting that in, and they went up 2-0 on that, I think.
And this is going to be a theme: Lanson coming in, James making the initial save, and somebody else making a rebound.
Yeah,
because
the very next goal,
yep.
I think
same thing. This time, Ichiro Hara being the beneficiary.
Oh yes, what a great pass by Nick Lamson coming in. And then he just kind of dished it off to Hara, who was waiting in front. And Hara took a shot, and James stuck out his leg, made the save. Great save. But Hara, again, took another shot. And this time, buried it.
Less than a minute later, give some credit to Aware trying to get back into the game. Patrick Forstner finishing the scoring play. This time set up by Gabe Roscoe and Eric Fowley.
Yeah. Patrick just came streaking in on the side. I think he had a few other players with them, and I noticed. I think that might have been the fourth shot on net, but the first 2 or 3 shots on Gabber, they were going that low blocker side, and Gabber was able to stop it and cover it, allowing no rebound whatsoever. But finally, Patrick found that hole on the low blocker side, and they got them on the board there.
Yeah, I got Aware on the board, and I was hopeful as a viewer to be able to see Aware get back into it, but KCG just couldn't be denied. Their depth really shown in this period. The fourth different goal scorer, this time it was Tan, who finished off the scoring on an excellent passing play and skating play from Christoph Anliker.
Yes. When Christoph came in, I knew that he was going to do something just from my experience playing against him and how tricky, or how talented, and how confident he can be on the puck. But he looks so humble when he's coming in, and sure enough, he came in front, and then he had all sorts of room and opportunities and options. And what did he do with the puck?
He gave it away.
He gave it away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unselfish.
Yes. And there, Tan was waiting right on the far side there.
Yeah.
And
beautiful
tapped
setup.
it in. Yeah.
Far post. Couldn't have done it better. Tan just had to stick his stick in the right place.
Yes.
So that ended the first period, and it felt like Aware just trying to survive the KCG storm. 4-1. To Aware's credit, they came back well in the second period. Tried to, fight off a little bit. Unfortunately for them, another goal. This time it was Nick Lamson getting on the score sheet himself after assisting the 2 first period goals. He was assisted by number 44, Alistair Fawcett, and number 11, Jesse Starosta, captain.
Yes. That was a beautiful pass and a beautiful finish, if I'm not mistaken, on that goal. And Nick was all over the score sheet.
Indeed.
I mean, he played like an absolute star, but I heard he was feeling under the weather.
Kind of like the Jordan flu game,
He was a man to be reckoned with. I mean, KCG just looks so dangerous out there. I mean, they didn't total that many shots, did they?
30.
Oh, they did. Okay. So that is quite a few. And every time they streaked in, Nick, Jan, Jesse, Bohr, Anliker, Tan. Oh,
Brendan Vick, is you got a
Vic,
lot of people.
Of course, excuse me.
A lot of people
yes.
who can make you pay on that team. And then Aware, I give them a little bit of, a credit for bouncing back a bit. They tried to get back into the game, had a couple goals scored in a 2-minute period. These were by number 6, Kelly Shim. You guys said his name quite a bit on the broadcast, assisted by number 2, Eric Fowley, and number 4, Devin Michael. And then Devin, finishing off a breakaway, was able to score a goal of his own. This one was assisted by number 22, Tor, the elder Thai statesman of hockey.
Yes. I remember the broadcast booth, my partner, Adam, was calling him Thor. And I thought, that sounds so cool. I'm just going to let him run with that. But it's spelled TH, but it's same as Thailand.
Yeah, they're normally
It's
silent.
That's a hard T. But anyway, yeah, Thor sounds like a cool name, but yeah, Tor, as you said, got that pass to Devin, and I liked how Devin scored that goal. It reminds me of a lot of penalty shot goals I've seen where the player will come in and he'll come into the far side, and then he'll just cut across, and that's what Devin did. And as he cut across, Gabor committed. Stuck out the leg, stuck out the hand, and he thought he had the net covered, but Devin held on just a little bit longer, and then popped in the puck and got himself a beautiful goal again. Or not again. I'm saying it's another beautiful goal for the game, but his first goal of the season, I believe.
So at this point, it was 5-3, and it felt like Aware was starting to get back into the game a little bit, but unfortunately for them, they took a couple penalties, and KCG's power play did not miss. Lamson again with a goal, this time on the power play. A nice one-timer was set up by number 8. That would be David. Or no, not David. I'm sorry. Forgive me, not David. That was Jan Isaacson setting up the one-timer by Nick Lamson. And Ernesto with the second penalty. This time it ended the second period. So to start the third period, there was a power play, and this time Jesse scored on the power play.
Yeah, that one was that from Nick again?
Again from
Nick. Yeah. Nice pass across. And how many goals was that now?
That was the 7th goal.
The 7th goal.
And then less than a minute and a half after that, Brandon Vick finished the scoring for KCG, their 8th goal of the game.
Poor James, James Speck. Is that his last name?
Yeah, Speck.
Speck, yes. And he just had a rough night. I think he just had a long week work coaching, and he's just kind of tired by the time Sunday rolled around. He didn't quite have that gas in the tank, perhaps. And I think when Brandon scored that last goal, I saw James, I think he may have flinched. I saw his head kind of dodge. I don't blame him. The puck was just kind of heading right towards his head. And I think James was just done by that time. He's like, I'm not going to sacrifice my head like his protege Jimmy did the previous game, where Jimmy took a puck to the head from Ken, and so yeah, I think James opted not to do that, and Brandon scored a goal and bounced off that back bar. It was a hard shot. You could hear that ring ding. So that was the 8th and final goal of the night, I believe.
No, it was the 8th goal.
Oh, yeah,
the
sorry.
final goal for KCG, but not for Aware.
That's
Harrison, your prediction came true in the end. Harrison was able to finally score a goal. This made it 8-4. He followed up his own shot off the glass and scored.
Yes, I love that. Got Gabber out of position. I remember seeing that, watching replays of the Russians play against Canada in the Summit Series in 1972, and I believe one of the very first goals the Russians scored against the Canadians was they shot it off the glass, and it bounced in front, and they popped it in, and it was a perfectly planned play. I'm not sure if Harrison planned that, but it was certainly shades of Russia, 72, Russia-Canada, Soviets versus Canada, and yeah, he scored it on the Soviet or Russian goalie, Gabor, and that was the final goal.
That was the final goal, and I give a ton of credit to KCG's balanced offensive attack, and really Nick Lamson. Who could you pick for another player of the game with a 5-point performance, 2 goals, 3 assists?
Yeah. Before you go to that interview, sorry. There is no interview. In fact, he was so sick that he
was
couldn't
ill.
make it. Excuse me. I thought we'll just go to the interview, but I wanted to add about the power of KCG. What Jesse did when he drafted this team is he got a lot of big, tough guys. When I say big and tough, like say for example David Boer.
Yep.
Who's had a brilliant season so far. He was kept off the score sheet this last game.
No, he did have an assist.
Oh, excuse me. And also another big, strong guy, Roman.
Roman, yep.
And Ernesto, who so strong and he's not big. Well, he's getting bigger.
Ernesto's unaware.
But anyway, he plays tough. And then Jan Isaacson also. I mean, there's a lot of tough guys on a lot of different teams. But Jesse has a huge collection of tough guys. Who else is on there?
Gabor.
Brandon, yeah. The list. Here's the list right here. Yeah.
It's a tough squad.
Bunch of tough guys. So I think Jesse had the right idea assembling that squad, and they're going to be the team to compete with. I think they're going to give
Lexicon's still
Lexicon a run for their money.
We'll see. Lexicon's still undefeated. So,
of course.
That was a close game, though. KCG lost in overtime.
Sure. Well, when I meant like a run for their money, I didn't say they'd beat them, but... or at least my understanding of a run for your money is they'll keep you on your toes.
Sure.
And
it was a lot of fun hockey to watch this week, and I appreciate you commentating the games.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was trying to be pleasant, fun, and funny, and polite, and I hope it came off that way.
You did.
Yeah, I had to rein it in.
But
anyway,
we hope you join us again this weekend, the 27th. We're going to have more games. This time, KCG versus Lexicon in the opening game. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah. Lexicon and who? Sorry?
KCG and Lexicon.
Lexicon and KCG. Yes. As
so
the
heavyweights.
To.
The heavyweights,
yes.
Yep.
Those two guys, those two teams are all over the scoring sheet, and that game is going to be popping.
I hope so. It's going to have a fun, as you talked about already, a lot of offensive firepower. You got all the top league leaders in points scored on both those squads. And the goaltending has been very good as well. Dom has played really well in goal. Ben Kleinische has
Dom's in... Which Dom are you talking about? Sorry?
Dominic Vollen.
Oh, I thought you meant Dom. I'm like, whoa. Jeez.
Not that
the guy who... Because that's Dom. I don't know. And Dom... Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, Dom. He's doing great. And the other Dom's also doing great, too. Don't get me wrong. I didn't mean it in a bad way. But yes, Dom is such a dominant goalie.
And Gabor had a great game as well, so don't sleep on him. Gabor played really well. Ben Kleinische. So I'm looking forward to top to bottom, offense, defense, goaltending, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then in the nightcap, we've got Aware and Siam both looking to kind of bounce back a little bit. Siam still looking for their first win of the season.
It's going to be interesting. I remember being in that position the previous season. As I said, it's kind of a switcheroo, and so everybody's cheering for the underdog, except for the team that they're playing against. So let's see what happens. I hope they can finally scratch that 0 and turn it into a 1.
Me too. I think that they, like I said earlier in the previous game, they played really well against Lexicon, just couldn't play a full game. They need to work on a few things: sustained offensive pressure, playing a full game, supporting Dream or Igor, whoever Friesen decides to play in net, but hopeful for them to scratch their first W.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us this week, Lance. We'll see you at the rink.
At the rink.
The opposite was very strong. I was good.
The Sport Corner's Siam Hockey League news is brought to you by Big Chili Magazine, the best read expat lifestyle and news magazine in Thailand. It covers interesting issues in Bangkok and the region while bringing its readers engaging stories and various exclusive interviews, food reviews, and more. You can find the Big Chili Magazine in bookstores and online at thebigchili.com. The music for the opening and ending credits are brought to you by DJ Caucasian.